Here we go. Each Wednesday, we ask our friend Bryan Hayes to dish out 3 hot takes as hot as a Harvey's Original Burger. And the first one does involve those Edmonton Oilers, whose 16-game win streak came to an end on Tuesday at the hands of the Golden Knights, the team that eliminated from the postseason last year. Bryan, your biggest takeaway from that Oilers loss was what?
My biggest takeaway from that loss, Jay, was that Vegas is still very legit, and Vegas is still a massive problem for the Oilers and the Canucks and the Avalanche and the Jets and anyone else in the Western Conference, because when they are healthy, and they were not last night in Vegas, they were not. They're still missing Eichel. They're still missing Theodore. They're missing Carrier. They are a loaded team. They are a cup contending team. They have been since they walked into the league. We know what they did last year. We know their front office is freakish when it comes to being proactive and continuing to add. I fully expect Vegas will find money somehow and continue to improve between now and the trade deadline. And what they have is skill, depth, size, physicality, and now Aiden Hill, who this time last year, no one was talking about. Like, no one knew who he was, let alone believed he could take this team on a cup run, which he ended up doing. This guy is so legit every single night when he's healthy. He stole that game last night. He was unreal. Vegas, I think, was very symbolic that they were the ones that stopped the streak for Edmonton. They knocked them out of the playoffs last year. They went all the way to the Cup final and won it. I expect by the end of the year, when they're healthy and they're ready to go, Bruce Cassidy's going to have that team rocking. So I love what Vancouver's done. I love what Edmonton's done. I like where Winnipeg's at. I like where Colorado's at. But as far as I'm concerned, until you knock out the champs, you got to look out for Vegas.
Let's talk about the Leafs. They get the win Wednesday against a very good Dallas Stars team. But of the 5 goals that they scored, Bryan, all of them were scored by the core 4, the Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Tavares quartet. Is this sustainable, Bryan Hayes?
No, it's not sustainable, Jay. It's absolutely not sustainable. It is long overdue. The Leafs desperately need someone else to step up outside of the big 5. And that 5th player would be Morgan Riley, who is actually 4th in points right now on the team. But you saw it tonight. Nylander was outstanding. Tavares is starting to score again, which is big. Matthews scores basically every night. And Marner did again tonight. Those guys have been outstanding. They are spectacular players. They are likely to drag this team into the playoffs on their own. But at some point, something has to change. They need Tyler Bertuzzi to start bringing something to the table. Max Domi, Matthew Knies, Calle Yarncroke when he returns. And I think there's another element to this as well, and that's Sheldon Keefe. I think the coach has got to start helping here, because he's got to find a way to get rid of some of the mental mistakes that continue to show up every single night. Defensive breakdowns every single night. So at some point, you're going to need offense. Again, you may not need it during the regular season. These guys may be good enough that they can drag them into the playoffs. But if you want to make noise in the playoffs, you need depth scoring. It's absolutely imperative. And on top of that, what the Leafs are going to need is to shore up other areas of their game. Defensive mistakes, breakdowns off set plays, where their special teams are going to be. That's where Sheldon Keefe can come in here, right? He can help this team. Because if you're not going to score tons of goals in the bottom of the lineup, what you have to make sure you do is don't give up goals at the bottom of your lineup. That's on Keefe. That's on the depth players. They got to figure out a way to contribute here, because the other big boys are rocking, and they're rocking basically every night.
Bryan, as you know, the Super Bowl is this Sunday. It's a big deal. And many people seem to be ready to put Patrick Mahomes in the GOAT conversation with Tom Brady should Patrick Mahomes win another Super Bowl this Sunday. Are you pumping the brakes on that theory?
Absolutely, I'm pumping the brakes on that theory. There is too much Tom Brady GOAT slander going around right now. Brady is still the GOAT, regardless of what Mahomes does in the Super Bowl on Sunday. We live in an era, and listen, I make a living off this, Jay, talking about legacies, talking about narratives, and comparing great players, generally of different generations. I think it started in the last 10 to 15 years revolving around LeBron versus Michael Jordan, and now it's already Mahomes versus Brady. The thing is, we never got to see LeBron and Jordan play at their best. We've seen that with Mahomes and Brady beat him twice in the biggest games. Brady went into Arrowhead and beat Mahomes in the AFC Championship game back in early 2019. And then in the Super Bowl, during a pandemic, on a new team in Tampa, Brady beat Mahomes and the Chiefs. That's 2-0, Brady versus Mahomes in the biggest games. We dream for those scenarios when we talk about these type of conversations. And it's not that Mahomes isn't unbelievable. Of course he is. And through 6 seasons, maybe it's the greatest 6-year run we've seen in NFL history. But it's one chapter. Brady gave us 3. He gave us that first chapter where he won 3 Super Bowls early in his career in New England, then 3 more later in his career in New England. Then he left New England for his 3rd and final chapter, goes down to Tampa, different team, different coaching staff, different offense, different conference, and wins a Super Bowl down there. And it's not about arm talent. It's not about creativity. It's not about mobility. It's about winning and being clutch. And yes, Mahomes wins. Yes, he's clutch. But no one's more clutch than Brady, and no one's won more than Brady, regardless of what happens this weekend.
Thank you, Bryan Hayes, for putting a little perspective on that one, because just like Harvey's serving Canadians for 65 years, Brian's been serving up the takes since '83. Bryan Hayes, you're the best. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jay.